like swing, but we play to win. It's the sim side vibe where the sim pros roll. GSPro loaded, got control of the whole. If you chasing that grind, then you locked in tight. Welcome to the sim side. Second fly.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to discuss advanced scene switcher and what you can use it for, how to, and then also the use case. So this is something that's used quite a bit within the streaming world platform, but specifically for sim golf. And when you're streaming, let's just say to YouTube, there's something to being able to go in and out of different scenes from a viewer standpoint. And so if you're just watching the exact same static video screen, although it may be great quality, there's something to the scene switching and having different cameras and things of that nature. So what I use it for, let's take a look. All right, guys, here we are, and we're going to showcase the first thing that I use the advanced scene switcher for. So when I am streaming to YouTube, I want the viewers to be able to see the gameplay after a shot. And that way they're not looking at this camera view the whole stream. Or if I have someone I'm streaming with, I will set up a scene specifically for them when they hit. So let's see how this works. When I hit this ball, it's going to automatically switch to the big gameplay screen with me in a smaller camera. All right, you can see after the shot, it switches to the big gameplay with the small camera. After 8 seconds, it's going to switch back. And there you go. So after the ball's hit, it switches to gameplay, comes back to the main camera. Let's check out the next use case that I use it for. All right, so currently you can see that there's an impact replay and there is impact location on the floor. When I put the ball in, it's going to automatically take that away. Okay. After I hit the ball, it's going to come back. So after ball is hit and completed, you'll get the impact swing location, or the impact location and the swing back, and it's just going to repeat itself. So after every shot, roll ball in, it'll disappear. Hit a shot. After shot is finished, it'll pop back up. All right, guys, so you just saw the two things that I use advanced scene switcher for. Let's kind of dive in on how this all works and what advanced scene switcher really is. So if you have OBS, you do have to download an additional plugin for advanced scene switcher. So if you download OBS, it's just not going to be in its raw format. You got to Google advanced scene switcher. And what you'll do is you'll come to this page on the OBS and you're going to hit download. Once you hit download, you're going to scroll down and there's going to be a couple different options to download. The easiest one, obviously depending on which kind of computer that you have. All right, so the easiest one, if you're Windows based, is going to be the Windows installer. What that's going to do is it's going to download in your downloads, and then you're just going to open it and run it, and it's going to install. Another option would be you could do it as a zip. If you're familiar with unzipping files and things of that nature and you want to put it in a specific file location, you can do that as well. The easiest one is going to be just to do the installer and run through the prompts that it has you to do. All right, guys, once you have advanced scene switcher downloaded, you're going to want to make sure you close out OBS, and then you're going to launch back into it. You're going to go over to Tools, Plugin Manager, and you're going to want to make sure that OBS, the advanced scene switcher is check marked. If it's not, make sure you check mark it. If it, and once it's check marked, you're going to hit OK. And then you're going to go to Tools, and you should see it right there. So Advanced Scene Switcher. And so I want to explain this the best way possible. Advanced Scene Switcher uses macros. Essentially what a macro is, it's an automated occurrence when it's triggered by something. So it's automatically going to do something if something happens. So in my case, I want the game capture scene to display after I hit a shot. So I'm going to write a macro to do so and switch it to that scene. And then I'm going to do another macro to bring it back to that camera. So typically speaking, you got to have 2 macros to complete a full cycle, if you will. So going from one scene to the next, back to the current scene or to someone else. You traditionally have to do at least 2 macros. And so that's what you're going to see here. So disregard anything that you see right here. Let's just talk about macros in general. So up top, you're going to have your, if something happens, I want this to take place. And then on the bottom, you're going to complete that cycle. So if when I hit the ball, I want it to switch to blank scene. So your action and trigger is going to be if up here, and then what you want it to do at the bottom. All right, so let's talk scenes and sources. Hopefully you have a beginner's kind of knowledge of OBS. We're not going to dive into how to do scenes and sources. If you need that, I do have another video on it. And there's plenty out there to research to be able to have that first knowledge of how to create scenes and sources. So let's just operate out under the assumption that you know how to do that. So if you look over here, I have big cam corner. So that's my main camera when I'm playing. And then I want it to switch to big GSPro big screen is what I call it. You can call it whatever. You can just call it game capture. And so let's kind of look at what that looks like. So we're going to go to Tools, Advanced Scene Switcher. Let me move myself back over here. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create your current scene, okay? The main camera in which that you want pretty much to be operating at all times. So I have this named Return to Big Cam Corner. Okay, this is my main camera. You can name it whatever you'd like. So what I have done is I've ran a macro that if, and so what you'll see, let's just kind of back up. So let's just do a macro 3. So this is what you're going to have. You're going to have a blank canvas. So you'll hit the plus sign, and it's automatically going to go to the if because that's the most common thing that you're going to do. So once you know how to hit the plus sign, then you're going to just kind of walk through what I have already. So let's go ahead and delete that. All right, so if the scene, and this is titled Return the Big Cam Corner. If the scene GSPro big screen, so that's the one that it switches to, I have it on a timer, so for at least 8 seconds. So if it's on that scene for 8 seconds, it's going to cut back to the main camera screen. So current scene is main, big, GSPro big screen. So scene for at least 8 seconds. And what you're going to do is you're going to click if. In this drop down, you're going to go to scene for at least, I have it on 8 seconds. And you're going to want to do your current scene, main, GSPro big screen. So what that means is if the scene GSPro big screen is on for 8 seconds, it's going to, and you're going to come down here, switch scene to big cam corner. And to do that, you're going to hit program, scene with name. It's going to automatically be main. And then you're going to put big cam corner. I like for it to cut. I don't like a fade. I don't like it to be kind of a longer transition. I like for it to just cut. So I select cut. Okay, that's your first macro. So this is kind of on the back end. Once it switches, it's going to be on that scene for 8 seconds, and then it's going to come back to the main camera. Okay. And then we're going to save that one. We would create a new one, which for me is going to be trigger shot change. There's a couple ways you could do this. You can do it on audio. If you have an extra mic, you can do it on audio. I have found that the best way for me and for my use case is to do it on a change. So with the game capture, I want it to switch based off a change. I selected ball speed because it always changes, and it also will allow it to change when I'm playing someone online. So that way the camera's not always on me. So for instance, when I hit the ball, I want it to switch to the big gameplay. But then also when they hit the ball, because I'll have their camera too, I don't want it to always be on me. I want it to switch to the big gameplay for them. So the viewer can see the big screen from a game capture standpoint. So what I'm going to do is again, this would be blank. You would just create another one. So you hit the plus sign. If scene, again, this is a big drop down. You'll select scene. Current scene is main, which you will not have anything different here. Then you would go to big cam corner. So essentially, I want it to trigger from big cam corner to GSPro screen. And this is where the trigger takes place. So if I'm in this scene, which is the main camera, and my GSPro game capture has a change, it's going to automatically switch. And again, I'm using that change for the ball speed. And so I'm going to do a drop down, which is going to be a plus. I'm going to switch it to and. Okay, let's delete this because I already have it. And we're going to do video this time instead of scene. So the video, because remember our gameplay is a video. We're going to do the specific source. The source is GSPro Game Capture because that's how I have it labeled when I added the source. So when I added that gameplay, which is GSPro or whatever game you're playing, it's a game capture, and so that's what it's labeled, and that's what I named it. You're gonna put that here. This is all my different sources. Okay, so when this scene happens and the game capture has a change, I want it to switch. And specifically, I wanted to target a specific area of the game play that you'll be able to see. So I drew a square right around that right there, just like so. Once you draw the square, you're going to hit X, and you'll see that your longitude and latitude, your X and Y axes have changed. You'll see the width and height. If that did not change, then your selected square obviously didn't take place. Just do it again. Hit select area and try that again. So again, if the big cam corner and so if that scene is on and the game capture has a change, which is our ball speed, then I want it to switch. So switch scene, just like that last macro, to GSPro big screen. So we'll do program, scene with name, our main canvas, and then within that source, it's going to be GSPro big screen. And again, I want it to cut. I don't like the fade. And that is the entire transition of hitting ball, it switching, after 8 seconds, it coming back. So I'm going to leave that on here just for a second so you guys can kind of see that. And again, you'll probably, if you're like me, I've watched a couple of these. I'm rewinding it, trying to follow along and do it. I'm literally watching it on my phone while I'm trying to do it on OBS. So we'll go back. So let's kind of do full circle here. And honestly, we could probably make it to where this one's on top, right? So we're starting here. So if the scene, there we go. So if the scene is on big cam corner and our game capture has a change, then it's going to switch to this. After this takes place for 8 seconds, it's going to automatically switch back to this. And so again, that's the stat cycle. All right, let's talk through the other macros that I have, and I don't have them named because I just kind of set this up in the last couple days. And that's going to be the video of the swing replay and the impact location being able to disappear and come back up. And so what we have here is if video, again, your video is going to be the source of your gameplay capture, matches a color. So essentially what I've done is this right here that you can see me hovering on. When you put a ball in, the hitting zone for GSPro, these turn green, okay? So again, I have this on a change. And so what this does is I want it to match when that turns green. The moment that that turns green, I want the two sources of impact replay and impact location to toggle off. So I want them to be shown, and then I want them to toggle off, basically hide. And so essentially that's all I've done. So matches color. The color I selected is green. I did this select location. So what I've done is I've went here, went down to the arrows, and you can see how small that is. I made it to where it's only picking up that one arrow because it kind of is the brightest one. Okay. This is where you have to have some trial and error. The big note here is color deviation and match threshold. So color deviation is how close do you want it to match that color? Does it need to be exactly, or is there okay to have some deviation? I need this to be a little bit more match as closely as possible because we're playing golf. The grass is green. So that bright green, I've got to have it kind of match a little closer, or it would just pick up the grass, right? And again, that's why I selected the arrow to be so small because I don't want it to pick up the grass around it. And then match threshold, it's the lower this number. I'm sorry. So if you bring all this to the left, it has to be an exact match, color for color, pixel per pixel. That's a little bit hard to do when you only have an option to select a color. So I brought this up just a little bit to the 0.27. The match threshold, the higher this goes, the better the match has to be. So this one is the lower, the exact color has to be. This one is the higher, the better match. And so I found that the 0.05 works. Again, you're going to want to change those a little bit to what makes sense for what you're doing. When it was the ball, when I was talking about ball speed earlier, that's a little different. There was no color involved. It just changes. So I don't really necessarily need it to match and things as much because it's a physical change that happens. All right. So if that video matches that color, I want these two sources, which is going to be scene item visibility, my main canvas, my scene, which is floor projection, again, because it's on the floor, right? It's not on the projector. And I want it to toggle. So basically, I want it to toggle on and off, visible and not visible. That source is called the V-Track Impact. That's going to be the impact replay. And then I'm going to add another one, which you can see that I just pushed right there. And now I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to do the same thing, scene item visibility. And instead of the V-Track impact, I want ball impact because it's a different source. And so same thing, your main canvas, my scene floor projection, and I want it to toggle on and off, okay? So when the light turns green, those toggle off, all right? Now, again, we got to go full circle. We want it to come back on. So what did we do to get it to come back on? We did if the video, which is our GSPro game capture, has a change, just like we did with the ball speed, I'm going to select the area. I can use ball speed, or when the ball flies, you can use, there's change in that aspect when the ball's flying through the air. Just really anything that changes. You can use club head speed, you can use the carry distance, or if you're not playing golf, it can just be something that changes over time to make that toggle on and off. But you don't want it to be something that's constantly changing, or it's going to just keep switching. So it's got to be something that's stagnant or static, that when you do something, it then changes. Okay. So I have it set to the flying of the ball. So you can see I just did a big circle. I mean, a big rectangle. So if anything happens within this rectangle, which is the ball flying, the color changing, something that happens, or when it fades after the shot, when it fades back to from black screen back to the ball, that's a trigger and change. Then I want it to do the same thing as earlier. Scene item visibility, my main canvas, my scene is floor projection, and I want to toggle it back on. So you can have show, hide, or toggle. Again, I just want it to toggle on and off. So the first macro is going to toggle it off. This macro is going to toggle it back on. And then you're going to rinse and repeat for your other, or you may not, you may just have one. But for me, I have the ball impact location on the actual club face. So ball impact and then V-track impact. And that's going to toggle them back on. Another thing that I do want to show you just from a trigger audio standpoint, that's an option too. So this is the first thing that I did. If you revert back to our first macros of switching scenes within gameplay, I first had it. This is the easiest way, so you're not having to try to find numbers and grabbing screen change to make it. Impact audio for me was super easy. You do have to have another mic, and you have to make sure it's charged. So eventually, if you can go to having a change on the screen, that's in my opinion, the better way. But this is also easy as well. So let's go back to our trigger shot change. Again, I did it because I did it to where the ball speed would change every time someone hits it. In this case, for shot audio, all you're doing is, instead of you grabbing the ball speed number, you're just making an audio. So if audio, output volume, impact audio is just what I called the source. I mean, you can name it. It may be the lavalier mic. I mean, it could be whatever that mic is called. Is above a certain threshold, which you're going to set here. I have found that negative 3.5 is good for me talking. It's not going to trigger it, but impact of club, when you have that thump of the ball coming off the club face, that's obviously quite a bit louder than the way I talk. So that would trigger it. You may need to push this into the negative 30, the negative 25 range. If you have a loud environment, again, you just have to play with this slider, just like you had to play with the color deviations and the matches. So it's all trial and error to find out what makes sense for you. For me, when I was using this, the negative 35 was perfect. So once the audio goes past the negative 35, it's going to switch scene to GSPro big screen. I mean, again, remember, that's our trigger to switch to the big gameplay. Same song and dance program, scene with name, our main canvas. I have it called GSPro big screen, and I want it to cut, not to fade. And then I've always kept the same 8 seconds return back. All right, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this kind of longer, in-depth, advanced scene switcher kind of tutorial, how-to / what I use it for. Another thing I want to mention is I have started a remote support sessions, if you will. And basically what I can do is I can remote into your computer. I can help you set up OBS. I can help you set up advanced scene switcher. Essentially, I can do anything, obviously, from a tech standpoint, by remoting into your computer and help you set that up. It's a free service that I do offer. If someone would like to donate, they can donate to our to the YouTube channel. They can donate to the apparel or the shop, which I'll have linked below. But it is something that I want to help the community. And again, it's a free service. You don't have to donate. I don't necessarily care if you do donate. I just want to help. And so I can do remote sessions to help set this up. If you have any questions, please follow me on Facebook. It's Second Flight Golf. Shoot me a message. It is a little bit easier to connect that way than via the comments on YouTube. But let's connect. If you have any questions, if you're stuck, just reach out. I will do everything in my power to make sure that we get you set up. I did not cover how to actually get your scenes and your sources. So that may be something that you have to dive into. We are catching it on the back end of everyone having the understanding that you already have the scene and the source set up. And so hopefully you guys liked it. Like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.